Hey guys, Ashley here. I had a question yesterday on one of the replays of my Facebook Live, and it was from Jordan, and it was about drop stitches. So I want to demonstrate how to fix a drop stitch because this is actually something that a lot of people ask me, and it's not nearly as scary as people think. So the first thing I want to do is I think Jordan, and you'll have to clarify this for me, but I think that his problem was when he was casting on, he would drop the stitches as he was trying to knit them. And really that's just a problem with trying to perfect your cast on and making sure you're doing the knit stitch properly. So what I first want to do is we're going to kind of go back to the beginning, and I'm going to show you, if you want me to teach you to knit, this is what you're going to need. Okay, so it's kind of like a mini shopping list. The first thing you're going to need is bulky yarn. So if you look at this, I was explaining this yesterday. This is super bulky yarn. Like, you see how thick that is? I want you to find, and I don't mean like, you've probably seen like arm knitting videos. Those are really popular right now. Don't go and get like fleece that's like super thick. I'm talking about this. And in order to, just one sec. In order to get that yarn, this is like a yarn label from Canada, so they might be different, like in the UK or Australia, or United States is the same, but anywhere else but here. And I'm going to hold this up. You see how this says, and it's backwards, so it says super bulky 6. So that is probably what you're looking for. You could go with a 5, which is bulky yarn, and I know that the terminology is different depending on where you live. But you want to look for this yarn label, and this is a yarn standard, so it's what everybody should be going by. Doesn't mean they do though, right? So you're going to look for 6. And then I want you to get on here, again, I don't know if you can see that. I'll take pictures so it's better. But this says that you can use 15 millimeter 19 US needles. Now, that's just the size, and again, UK sizes are different. I'm not sure what Australia goes by though. I'm gonna say it's the same as Canada, but I don't know. So you're gonna want bulky needles, thick ones like this, okay? So it doesn't really matter the size because you're learning to knit and you're actually not making anything. We're just perfecting our technique. So that's your shopping list. Oh, and sorry, I wanted to talk about the kind of needles because there's actually 3 different kinds, basically. So when everyone thinks of a knitting needle, this is what they think of. It's got a point on one end, it's got a little like knobby thing, and they're straight. Though they usually are actually, double the size. Like, they can be like out to here. And that's not what we're aiming for, because that's what I tried to learn on, and literally I was going to stab somebody, and I don't want you to do that. No stabbing people. Out of frustration. So if you are going to get a straight needle, I would suggest, like, these are, I don't even know the length, but there are actually some that are smaller. The ones I learned on were kid needles, and they were actually like where my finger is to here. And they have an end, so your stitches actually can't slide off of these, but I find them freaking annoying, and I don't, like, I have one, and that's it, because I hate them that much. But if you do use them, kudos to you. I just am that clumsy. So the other thing, these are double point needles. So if you see, there's a point on each end. And usually these come in packs of like 4 or 5, and their original intention is to knit in the round. So you would like, it's really hard to see, but you would like basically cross them, and there would be one here and one here, and you'd knit like a hat or a sock or whatever. Again, these are great. They're better because they're smaller, and you actually can knit back and forth, but the problem is your stitches, because there's no stopper, they can slip off. And if you're new, I don't want you to get more frustrated than you need to be. So here is my favorite. I was talking about this yesterday, but I didn't have any. Like, I couldn't find any. So these are 16-inch needles. So you see a little wire, it's not very long, and if you were to drop this, you're just dropping it and you pick it back up. It's not you're only trying to really do one thing, and that's hold these. Okay, so you're not trying to hold 4 needles or 2 needles or whatever. These are technically 2 needles, but they're connected with a cable. And that cable is 16 inches. So when you are in the yarn store, or in, like in a Walmart here, they sell knitting stuff, so whatever your equivalent of Walmart is, get a 16-inch, and it'll say on there 16 inches or centimeters. I don't know what it is in centimeters, but and tips, they can be literally, like, these are interchangeable, so like I change the tips off so I don't have to buy 15 pairs of needles, but they're basically coming like this. Okay, so this is these are wood, this is stainless steel, I think, or something. Just get your cheapest pair of 16-inch needles. It doesn't matter. I would suggest trying to avoid wood though, just because wood isn't as slippery, and we want slippery needles because people tend to get stressed out and like put their stitches on too tight and can't do anything. You've got to restart when you do that. So I'm going to cast on. Unfortunately, I don't have any big needles, so what I'm suggesting is you get like this thickness, okay, but in 16 inch is what I'm trying to say. So I'm going to cast on with this. Now, how you do your cast on, I mean, I'm not going to teach that here. I'm going to save that for another video because there's actually a lot of different ways to cast on. So I'm just going to do my cast on super fast, and then I'm going to kind of show you what I think is going on with Jordan, and then I'm going to knit a bit and then show you how to fix a drop stitch, because how they do it on YouTube and how I do it, totally different thing, because I'm a badass and I don't like doing things the way people tell me to. So, okay, so here we go. Big yarn so I can show you better. Big needles, and the reason we're doing this, if you watched Facebook Live yesterday, is because you want to see your stitches. And when you're knitting on smaller needles with smaller yarn, you won't see them as good, and it will, you know, make it as more hard than it needs to be. More hard? That's bad grammar, whatever. So, okay, I'm just going to do this real fast. And I've put on, let's say, 10, 2, 4, 6, 8, 9, 10. Ooh, okay. So 10 stitches. Okay. So what I think Jordan was explaining to me, and again, Jordan, if I'm wrong, please clarify, comment, let me know. So he's trying to knit. And I don't know how he knits, and I kind of touched on this a little bit yesterday, is that there's two types of knitting. There's picking and there's throwing, and I throw. So I'm not sure which one Jordan does or what he was taught to do, but if you are having trouble, I will make a video on, you know, the difference, and kind of how to do both. I'll demonstrate both better than I did yesterday. And but if you're having trouble with one, try the other one, because it might be just that, right? Okay, so when you are knitting, if you are not taking it off properly, okay, it's going to drop. Oops. And that's going to happen, and you've just lost your stitch. Now, when you're casting on, there's nothing you can do about that. I've tried to fix it. I'm pretty sure there are people that are better than me that can do it. I don't. If my cast on is screwed up, I start over. It doesn't matter if I've cast it on 10 stitches or 200. I will start over because it's just not worth the fuss. I'm going to knit just really fast a couple of rows. And I'm going to do this in stocking stitch because I want you to see how to do, like, how you would pick up a purl stitch is how different than you would pick up a knit stitch. But for the sake of this video, we're just going to do knit stitch because that's what most people know. Okay, so just let me do a few rows and see. Here's a good way to demonstrate. Look at how long this cable is. Now this is meant for things like sweaters, blankets, etc. But it gets in my way. When you're learning to knit, it's annoying. Okay, so don't do that. Get some short needles. Okay, so I'm gonna knit to here and drop this stitch. It's pretty badass. Okay, so here we go. So a drop stitch is when your stitch slips off the needle, it comes off. Okay, slips off the needle, comes off, and undoes. Now, let's see here. See that? So it's not on my needle, and now I've got this. Now, if I were to continue knit and not notice this, it could go all the way down to the cast on. Let's hope it doesn't do that, because if it goes past the cast on, it's harder to do. But for the sake of this video, okay, I noticed this, and normally people would freak out, throw their knitting in a closet, and never do it again. This happens to everybody, happens to me probably like 15 times a day. It's just part of it, and you're gonna have to get used to it. So that's why I'm teaching you how to fix it. So the first thing I do, now normally people would take like a double point needle, the ones I showed you with points on both ends. They would usually take that, or a crochet hook, and they would actually loop it up. I've never been able to do that. Crochet is not my thing. I don't get it, don't understand it. I'm trying though. So anyway, here's what I do. Let me see. Okay, so backside. I will take my knitting needle, and I will take this loop. So you know how it dropped, okay? So this is the row below, essentially. Not the row that I'm working on. So I put it through there, just like I'm knitting. Now I'm gonna take this loop, okay? And I'm gonna put it on here like this. So do you see that? This is my stitch that I'm working with. And this is what dropped off, okay? That was the previous stitch that now the yarn has come off and is just hanging there. So I put those two things on my needle. So I'm gonna take this needle and I'm gonna go in, okay? Let's see if I can, I'm gonna go in like this. Okay, and so I'm actually grabbing it's really hard to see. I'm grabbing, okay, so I'm grabbing the actual stitch. I'm going in left to right like I would be knitting. And I'm going to take this loop is still on here. See that? This is the loop from before. And I'm just taking my needle, my right hand needle, and pushing it through like this. That stitch is now back on there. I've made it, but it's on the wrong needle. So what I'm going to do is just, and this is where you might twist your stitches, so you want to be careful. You put it back on the left hand needle. Okay. Now I can just knit like normal. Okay. So all I did, and let me see, maybe I can demonstrate that again with my double points. Now I'm not saying you should do this because your stitches will slip off and then you'll be pissed at me, and I don't want that. Okay. So again, I'm gonna knit till the middle stitch, drop it purposely, and then I'm gonna pick it back up, and hopefully, because that stupid cable isn't in the way, you'll be able to see a little bit better. Okay. 2, 3. Okay. So here's my stitch. Comes off and unravels. So that's how it looks from the front. This is how it looks. Okay. And you can see this was the material, this was the row below. Or, I mean, these are live stitches, so this was the row I was knitting. So it's now gone down a row. We're going to fix that. Let me see if I can do it this way. Okay. So I'm going to go in with my right hand needle. I'm going to go in. And then I'm also going to grab right here. Okay, so I'm going to grab that, and I'm going to take my left hand needle, I'm going to go in like I'm knitting, so I'm going in left to right, and then I'm essentially knitting. Okay, so I'm making a stitch, and now it's back on the needle. Now it's on the wrong side, so I'm going to put it over, make sure it's not twisted, and then continue knitting. So a week from today, on June 1st, I think that's a week from today, I will be releasing something called Knitting University. Now, because I'm not a superwoman, I can't make this all at once. So because I'm so excited about teaching you guys to knit and to get your skills, you know, whether you're a beginner, whether you're advanced, I basically want to show you guys exactly what I do, how I do it, and how you can do it too. Okay, so what I'm doing is that Smashly Stitches Knitting University is going to be starting, and they're going to be individual modules that I'll be releasing here and there. Some of them will be beginner stuff like casting on, how to knit, how to purl, the basic stitches and how to combine them. Some of it will be Farrell knitting, which I know a lot of people love my socks, so I'm going to be showing a twist on that, not that exact pattern, but something close to it on how to do Farrell, how to do socks. I'm going to be knitting scarves, lots of stuff. And I'm even going to start showing you guys how to design your own patterns, how to submit to magazines, all of that. So Knitting University will be launching very, very soon. The first module, maybe I should make you guys guess what it is. Maybe I should just tell you, because I'm not good at, when I'm excited, keeping secrets like that. So it's going to be slippers. And slippers is a thing that I mean, oh God, last Christmas, I probably made like 40 pairs. It was insane. And I can knock out a pair in a day now, but I've perfected my technique on how to do that, and I want to share it with you because I've actually never seen it done anywhere else. And so these slippers, they're basically sort of like my mukluk slippers, if you've seen those, but not exactly, because that's not my pattern. So this is an original Smashly Stitches pattern. I'll be going through it with you step by step. You're going to get a PDF on written instructions. You're also going to get the full written pattern. There's going to be a Facebook group where you get me and my support on how to knit this, and if you have any questions, there's going to be exercises on how to get your skills refined before you actually go and make a slipper. There's also going to be live teachings and video on me demonstrating step by step how to make the slipper. And we're going to be doing skills, so these would be for you if you know how to knit circularly. You're going to need 16-inch needles. You're going to need worsted weight yarn. You're also going to need a tapestry needle or a sewing needle, because you're going to be grafting. So grafting is what you do when you take live stitches and you're going to sew them together, and it's going to be seamless. So these slippers will be seamless. And if you want bottoms on them, like grippy bottoms, I'm going to show you exactly how I do that. So this is going to be pretty awesome and pretty epic. And if you think that you would like in on the Smashly Stitches, the very first Knitting University module, then you need to message me so that I make sure that you don't miss out on it, okay? So that's probably going to be June 1st. I might release it early in my Smashly and Friends Facebook group. So yeah, if you maybe want in on that, I would seriously suggest you send a request to that group. But yeah, email me if you think you want more info on this. So it's Smashly Stitches Slippers, and it's going to be the very first not module, but like, it is a module, but it's not like I'm not starting at the beginning. I'm starting at where I like. Okay, so I will be covering casting on and things like that, but this is already for people that want to knit, know how to knit. So if you know how to knit circularly in the round and you're comfortable on 16-inch circular needles, this is something you're not going to want to miss out on. Okay, thanks for watching.